I'm Professor Pi. Welcome to my daily mathematical adventures. Hey, don't forget me. I'm Cowboy Rufus. I'm your favorite student. Today we're talking about special triangles, two specifically. One that has a 30, 60, 90 angles inside it. It's a right triangle with a 30 and a 60. And the other one is a right triangle that is isosceles, and it's a 45, 45, 90 triangle. You need to learn and memorize the side proportions of these two triangles. This is special right triangles. G, SRT C5, and SRT B4, SRT A3 are all involved here. The I can statement says I can memorize and use the properties of a 45, 45, 90 triangle and a 30, 60, 90 triangle. Like in all my videos, my video will go up here when it's done. We'll load it up there. In the meantime, I've got 3 other videos. If you don't get anything from mine, get them there. Now, it might be important to figure out where the construction of these 30, 60, 90 triangles start from. This is an equilateral triangle. And we know the altitude cuts this side in half and makes a right angle. So now, half the angle I'm looking at is ACD. ACD. In this triangle, we know that this was, let's say this side was 2x and 2x and 2x. Well, then this side is 1x, half of that 2x. So I now know in this triangle, the short side, the one across from the 30-degree angle, is always half of the hypotenuse. Now let's use the Pythagorean theorem. Use the Pythagorean theorem and you go 2x squared plus x squared minus x squared. 2x squared minus x squared is 3x squared. Take the square root of that, you get the x out, the square root of 3 stays in. On this triangle, the proportions are x times the square root of 3, and 2x, which gives me some exact instructions. If they give you the long and you want to go to short, you multiply by square root 3. You just put a square root 3 after your number. If you go from short to hypotenuse, you multiply by 2. What's the opposite of multiply by 2? That's right, divide by 2. So if you go from hypotenuse to short, you divide by 2. What's the opposite of multiply by square root 3? Down here it is. When you go from long to short, you divide by square root 3. And we're going to work with those proportion numbers in a minute, but that's what you got to memorize. X square root 3, 2x. And everything in this chapter, so that the class can be together, I'm always going to list an angle by short side, long side, hypotenuse will be the last. So this is short, long, hypotenuse. It's x on the square root of 3, and 2x. This is how we get the 45, 45, 90 special triangle. We start with a square. We make one diagonal. Now that gives me 2 triangles. Does it matter which one I use? Or are they congruent? That's right. They look congruent. They are congruent. Because you knew from chapter 6 that a quadrilateral that's called a square that has a diagonal that forms 2 congruent triangles. So we know what this is. A square is x and x. It's equal all the way around. So let's just say it's x. We don't know what it really is, but let's say it's x. Now let's use the Pythagorean theorem that you learned a couple lessons ago. X, square it, is x squared. X, square it, is x squared. So we get the square root of 2x squared. The x comes out because we know what the square root of x squared is. It's x. The square root of 2 stays inside. So now we have proportions here. And here, since this is an isosceles triangle, because it was a square before we cut it in half, the 45 triangle is x, and I've got 2 short legs because there is no long leg here. we got x, x, x on the square root of 2, which leads me to some directions again. To go from the leg to the hypotenuse, you multiply by square root of 2. To go from the hypotenuse to the leg, you divide by the square root of 2. And if they give you a leg, let's say it's 7, well, the other leg is 7. You multiply by 1, it's the same. I don't even know why I put that column in there, but I did. I put that row right across. All right, this is the 45, 45, 90. And once again, what you have to memorize is x, x, x on the square root of 2. And this is the 30, 60, 90. What you have to memorize is x, what you have to memorize there is x, x times the square root of 3, hypotenuse. This is short, long, hypotenuse. And the 45, 45, 90 is short, short, hypotenuse. So this is x, x, x on the square root of 2. Here's your assignment. Get started, and I'm going to work a couple once you get started. Thanks for watching another Professor Pi video. Yeah, y'all come back tomorrow. Cowboy Rufus and Professor Pi will teach you something new.